Hello and welcome back. That is right, today I want to show you which is the best SSD that you should get for your PS5 upgrade in summer 2022. It's been a year since Sony enabled this feature for the PlayStation 5, technically 10 months if you not want to include the beta, and in that time we have seen so many different SSDs that are compatible with that system, each with their own performance. Now those that follow this channel know that I have been talking about this subject for a long time and testing many SSDs in that time. So take my word for it when I say that I've done a lot of research into their specifications, pricing, availability and ultimate suitability for the PS5, and I'll bold it down right now in summer 2022 to the 5 best choices. Now whether you're watching this during a big promo period like Prime Day or Black Friday, or you're just typically finding this video to choose the right drive for your upgrade, take my word for it that the 5 choices right now are as good as it gets. I know I've tested enough SSDs in that time to know. But before we get to those 5, let's discuss some honourable mentions. These are the ones that got close but didn't quite cross the finish line for me. First and foremost, the Samsung 980 Pro. It was one of the early generation SSDs that everyone recommended for the PS5, but frankly, the fact that the Heatsink version came so late into its development and was at quite an arguably high price point kind of put it out the mark for me. And also the write performance, although not integral to the PS5, wasn't as good as I like, nor was the durability at 0.3 drive writes per day. It's still a very good SSD, but it was beaten to the punch right at number 5 by one of our other SSDs. On top of that, there was the XLR8 from PNY. Now, why was it important? They already had an SSD in development, but they also released a PS5 Heatsink bundle as well, and it was a very good SSD. And again, it ranked very high. It made it into the top 10 very easily. What stopped it being the tippity-toppity there? Well, the SSD itself wasn't the best value, and it didn't come with a standard M2 heatsink there inside. And although performance was very good on that drive, I felt that its architecture, its lack of 176-layer NAND, at least until recently, kind of put it out the running from the other 5 that we're going to talk about later on. And finally, kind of a left field choice that made it really close to the top 5 was this one, an SSD that I reviewed recently. A little known company called Silicon Power and their XS70 SSD with a fantastic heatsink on board and arriving with specifications very close to that of the Seagate Firecuda, which is still tippity-toppity and, you know, spoiler alert, is definitely in the top 5. It gave you a lot of the benefits of that, minus a few little bits and bobs, but gave it to a really good price point. Why isn't it in the top 5? Well, availability. It's nowhere near as worldwide available as the other 5 SSDs that we're going to talk about today. And moreover, from that, it is just an SSD where its warranty procedure wasn't as streamlined. It didn't feel as good in terms of support as the other brands I'm going to talk about today. But those were our honourable mentions. Let's go into the 5 SSDs that I think are the best for PS5 upgrades in summer 2022. Number 1, straight away, the WD Black. We knew it. We knew this was going to be in the top list. If it wasn't for Mark Cerny giving it a big shout, I reckon it still would have bubbled to the top anyway. And again, do bear in mind my top 5 here is not ascending or descending. All 5 of these are solid choices nonetheless. Why the WD Black? Well, several reasons. One, it's a great price point. It's been in the market for a long time, and in the last half a year, WD have revealed 2 different variations of this drive, a higher performing X version and a lower performing SN7700 version. The result is the price for this has got even better outside of promos and still performs outlandishly well for the PS5. So still a heavy recommendation and still hugely available and regularly on offer. What's up next? You saw it coming, already mentioned it. The Firecuda 530. Now this is obviously a nice little special Mandalorian one, but the standard class one with or without the heatsink is still one of the best drives in the market right now in terms of durability, at 0.7 drive writes per day, in terms of performance. Although it's no longer the fastest PCIe Gen 4x4 SSD in the market, it held that top rank for most of the last year, and on top of that, the ones that have beaten it by tens of megabytes. It is very close to the mark. But with that, you also get that EK Gamer heatsink if you choose, and the Seagate rescue service inside as well, so you get 3 years of data recovery services. And with high durability data recovery services and an insane build quality long before everyone else did it, it's still for me one of the best SSDs for PS5 out there, and it regularly either won or came close second in all of my testing. Next up, we can go to something a little bit more affordable, but one that is still seeing great improvements. The Seagate, the Sabrent Rocket 4 Plus. Now, this was one of the first SSDs that I ever tested for PS5. Why is it still in the top 5? Nice and simple. One, they've improved the firmware, they've improved the NAND quality, very early doors to 176 layer NANDs there. They even started rolling out 8 TB versions. Sadly, they don't work on PS5. And they were the first to integrate and allow a PS5 heatsink there, which you can now get in a bundle. When you go to the higher capacities, that's thrown in for free. That's still one of the best heatsinks for PS5 SSD upgrades there. On top of that, the system even includes a metallic heat shield on every single drive, and to date it is still, right now in terms of price point, one of the lowest price SSDs that you can get for PS5 upgrades that crack the 7,000 megs. It's been around in the market a long time, it's regularly on offer, and they've stood the test of time in terms of what their drive can do for PS5 upgrades, regularly on sale too. Now, mixing things up ever so slightly, it's still a brand that we've talked about on the channel before that has a good rep, but a lot of you might be surprised that the XPG series, the S70 and the S70 Blade, again the same SSD with a different heatsink inside, is in my top 5 recommendations. Why? Because unlike every other SSD that I've talked about today, and dare I say it, every SSD that I've talked about mostly for the last 12 months, with a few exceptions in WD and Samsung, this has a different controller, the Integrit IG5326 controller there, and that controller inside there has done wonders in terms of write performance and read performance there. But because it not being such a market mainstay as the Phison E18 controller, these drives arrive at a better price point with insanely good heatsinks there on board. Now again, you don't have to use that heatsink, you can junk it and use like the elect gear if you choose, or even go straight for that Sabrent there. But the fact still remains that at its price point, which is maintained thanks to it not using the Phison but still giving performance that in some cases exceed the Phison, you end up with a drive with a good mid-level durability at 0.5 drive writes per day, and a good choice of heat sinks, a good choice in terms of its that controller utilization there, and recent firmware updates which have further pushed the performance even higher. It is a drive from Adata, hugely influential in the memory market in terms of production of those modules, and both of these are now been upgraded to 176 layer NAND there. So again, this is kind of the lesser known one of all of the SSDs I talked about there, but wait until you see my number 5. So if you're looking for an SSD to upgrade your PS5 in 2022 in the summer, these are a bloody good shout, and arguably at a weirdly good price point for the performance they promise. Finally, again, this is another slightly left field I talked about on Data News of the Week, and one that when it was finally launched, the price point was pretty darn good. It's the Next Storage. The Next Storage is one that we talked about originally in Data News of the Week and was on lots of different websites because of one big factor. It is the company is owned by Sony. They're a Sony subsidiary, Next Storage. They are one of the few out there that can go ahead and use PlayStation 5 branding. They're one of the few out there that has a few fingers and a few pies related to PS5. And yes, Mark Cerny's recommendation to the WD Black aside, this drive has got everything that those drives have. It has the high performance. It has, on the 2TB and the 4TB model, 6,850 performance there. It has got a PS5 sized heatsink there that will go inside 176 layer NAND. It's got the high durability on board. It is a great SSD, but moreover than anything, it is by a Sony company, but priced like it isn't. It's on offer currently on Amazon, it's on offer on Newegg, and it seems like when it was launched in the East it went full retail RRP, but when it arrived in the US and arrived in Europe, it immediately took a substantial price hit because of the sheer range of SSDs in the market at the time. And it's a lesser known and often overlooked gem of an SSD when it comes to PS5 upgrades there. So again, it made the cut and really pushed in front of the likes of the Samsung, pushed in front of lesser known ones like the AdLink series or Titan Micro. It is a great SSD for PS5 upgrades that is, if anything, very on brand. But those have been the 5 SSDs that I recommend more than any other for PS5 upgrades in summer 2022. Things may change in 6 months, and with the PS5 Pro looking like a 2023-2024 release, don't be surprised if that hits PCIe Gen 5. So again, these SSDs are only going to get more affordable. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. These SSDs are linked in the description. So if you are thinking of buying these, help out the channel and use those links. It's not going to cost you anything, and it helps me make this content more and more. And there's links to other guides on PS5 content, as well as performance proof on all of these linked in the description too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.